It is guaranteed that you will get questions like this almost on any test. You're presented with different shapes, and you need to identify the missing shape in the sequence. You're presented with 4 different choices. Choices A, B, C, and D. Obviously, you need to look and identify the pattern. Do you see the pattern? Let's continue to see how we can get to the correct solution and solve this challenge together. Let me first explain you the different shapes we see in the picture. Let's start with the inside diamond. You see that inside small diamond changes the colors. We have 2 black inside diamonds, then 2 white inside diamonds, and then inside diamond in the shape 5 is also black. Do you see the pattern? Now, there is also a pattern of outside triangles. You see that outside triangles in the shapes 1 and 2 are black, in the shapes 3 and 4 are white, and in the shape 5 are black. Does it ring a bell? Doesn't give you a pattern? And then the third pattern are the sides of the larger diamond. If you look closely, you see that the sides of the larger diamonds in the first shape are black, then we have 2 white shapes, and then 2 blacks again. Let's recap. Shape 2 is the first shape in the pattern, shape 3 is the second shape in the pattern, shape 4 is the third shape in the pattern, and then shape 5 is the fourth and last step in the pattern. If you look closely at the shape 1 in the picture, you see that this represents the last shape in the pattern. So the correct choice here for shape 6 would be to select the first shape in the pattern, which is the matching answer for the choice B. So the correct answer here is choice B. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems in the test. Here's one of my favorite questions, and it is my favorite because it is so unusual. You are presented with the pyramid. Pyramid contains 5 different layers. If we go from the top to bottom, you have a question mark. This is the number that you need to uncover. The next layer contains numbers 24 and 28. Layer below this contains numbers 10, 12, and 14. Next layer has 4, 5, 6, and 7. And the last layer has numbers 3, 1, 4, 2, and 5. You're presented with 4 different choices for the missing number. Choice A, 55. Choice B, 56. Choice C, 57. And choice D, 60. Do you see the answer? You will be surprised how simple it is to get to the answer when we go to the next step. Give yourself 5, 10, maybe 15 seconds to see if you can calculate and get to the correct answer. Did you figure it out? Let's continue and see how we can get to the correct solution together. Well, here, to be honest, I tried to trick you. I went in describing numbers from top to bottom, but in reality, you should be looking at the numbers from bottom to the top. If we start from the bottom row, for example with numbers 3 and 1, you see that the sum of 3 and 1 will add up to 4. But then it gets trickier. If we go from the second row to the third row, you see that the 4 and 5 does not necessarily add up in 10. 4 and 5 adds up in 9, and then you need to increment it by 1. If you go to the next layer, you need to increment it by 2. And then in the final row, you need to increment it by 3. So the correct answer here is choice 55. Let's recap. Starting with the bottom row, the sum of 2 squares results in the number in the next row. For example, 2 plus 5 equals 7. However, as each level continues, the sum increases by 1. For example, 4 plus 5, we need to increment and add 1 to get to 10. So the answer is calculated by adding up 24 plus 28 plus 3, which would be equal to 52 plus 3 and would be equal to 55. The correct answer here is choice A, 55. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems on the test. I'm excited to share with you a cool question, which is easy to understand, but which doesn't have an obvious answer. You're presented with the 2x3 matrix. This matrix has arrows inside. There are 2 types of arrows, solid arrows, and then there are arrows that consist of 3 different shapes. There are 6 possible spaces in the 2x3 matrix. 5 shapes are present, and 1 shape is missing. You're presented with 4 different choices to identify the missing shape, which is highlighted by the question mark. You have choices A, B, C, and D. Give yourself 10 to 15 seconds to see if you can identify the right answer. Did you figure out the correct answer? Let's continue to see if we can get to the correct solution together. To solve these types of challenges, you always need to look for patterns. And there are 3 different patterns present in this sequence. Let's look at the pattern 1. If we start from the upper left corner and go clockwise, you see that the arrows change alternatively in each subsequent box. Second pattern is that inside the box, solid arrows rotate clockwise. And then the third pattern, which is a little harder to identify, is that the previous arrow points to the next arrow start. This is why the missing part, the part that you would need to identify, contains an arrow placed in the right corner pointing to the left. So the correct answer here is choice B. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems in the test. But in case you need more problems and solutions, please make sure to check out my ebook in the description section of this video. And now, here's the question for you to try. If you can calculate the answer, please post it in the comment section of this video so I can give you the grade. We have 2 projects, and to complete project 1, it takes 8 hours, and to complete project 2, it takes 12 hours. So how much longer, in percentages, it takes to complete project 1 versus project 2? You have 4 different choices. Choice A, 4%. Choice B, 50%. Choice C, 100%. And choice D, 150%. Can you calculate the answer? Please make sure to post it in the comment section of this video so I can give you the grade. Thanks for participating and good luck! Some of you might disagree, but calculating missing numbers is one of my favorite types of questions. A lot of times, you are presented with the 3x3 matrix, typically a square, which has small squares inside. In our case, we have numbers in the different colors presented in the smaller squares inside the larger square. The numbers are 521, 233, 4 and 4. And then one number is missing, and this is the one that you need to calculate. Once you complete the calculation, you need to select one of the 4 different choices. Choice A, 0, choice B, 1, choice C, 2, and choice D, 3. Take a look closely and see if you can identify the missing number. Give yourself 5 to 10 seconds, maybe 10 to 15 seconds, to see if you can come up with the right solution. Do you see the answer? Let's continue to see how we can solve this challenge and get to the correct solution together. As usual, my advice to you, always look for patterns. In this particular case, we need to look at the patterns inside the rows and then inside the columns. Let's look at the first 2 rows to see if we can get a pattern. The sum of 5 plus 2 plus 1 equals to 8. The sum of 2 plus 3 plus 3 also equals to 8. So there might be a pattern. Let's look if there is a pattern for the columns that have full sets of numbers. 5 plus 2 plus 4 equals 11. 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 9. So there is no pattern. In this case, we can relatively simply use the pattern from the rows. This would allow us to calculate the 3rd row. If we know that the sum should be 8, we can assume that the 4 plus question mark, which would be representing the missing number, would be equal to 8. So the missing number would be equal to 0. The correct choice here is choice A, 0. Hopefully you've nailed this question on your own and now know how to answer similar problems on the test. Here's one of my favorite questions because it is very frequently used on the test. You're presented with the matrix, 4x3 matrix. Each cell in the matrix has numbers. For example, first row in the matrix has numbers 2, 8, 7, and 6. Second row has numbers 9, 5, 9, 5. And the third row has numbers 9, 7, 4, and one number in the bottom right corner is missing. And this is exactly what you need to calculate. You can choose from one of 4 different choices. Choice A, 5, choice B, 7, choice C, 9, and then choice D, 11. Do you think you can come up with the answer? Give yourself 5 to 10 seconds. This is about as much time as you will get on the test. Let's continue to see how we can get to the correct answer together. The key to solve this problem is to determine the pattern. And the pattern either can be in the rows or in columns. In this particular case, let's check the columns first. And then what you see is that each column adds up to the value of 20. For example, 2 plus 9 plus 9 is 20. 8 plus 5 plus 7 is 20. 7 plus 9 plus 4 is 20 as well. We also want to check if there is a pattern with the rows. And there is no pattern, because the first row adds up to 23. 2 plus 8 plus 7 plus 6 equals 23. And the second row adds up to 28. 9 plus 5 plus 9 plus 5 equals 28. So there's no pattern. Based on this information, you can calculate the missing value in the fourth column. 6 plus 5 plus question mark equals 20. So the answer is C, 9. This is the missing value. Hopefully you figured it out and now know how to answer similar problems on the test. And now it's your turn. I would like you to practice and try to answer this question on your own. Please analyze the question and post your answer as well as your rationale of how you did the calculations in the comment section of this video. You're presented with two squares. Smaller square is inside the larger square. Both squares have numbers in the corners. The larger square has numbers 15, 11, 32, and 23. The smaller square has numbers 22, 13, 5, and one number is missing. And this is the number you need to calculate. You have four different choices. Choice A, 1, choice B, 7, choice C, 12, and choice D, 17. Do you see the pattern? Can you calculate the correct number? Please post your answer in the comment section of this video so I can give you my feedback. Thank you for participating and good luck. I'm extremely excited to share with you the question that tests your pattern recognition skills. You're presented with 3 columns. Each column has 3 numbers. In the first column, we see numbers 2, 7, 5. In the second, middle column, we see numbers 2, 3, and 4. And in the last, rightmost column, column number 3, we see numbers 10, 21, and then one number missing. You need to find the missing value, which is highlighted by question mark. You need to find the missing value, and you have 4 choices to choose from. Choice A, 8. Choice B, 16. Choice C, 27. And choice D, 36. Do you think you can recognize missing value? Give yourself 5 to 10 seconds to see if you can come up with the answer. Did you figure out the solution? Let's continue to see how we can get to the correct solution together. The most important skill to solve these types of problems is pattern recognition skill. To recognize the pattern, you need to look closely into each column. Selective values in columns 1 and 2 by multiplication get to the value in column 3, and this is our pattern. Let's take a closer look for the values that are already present. If we multiply 5 by 2, we get to the value of 10. Second set of values represented by the middle row. 7 multiplied by 3 equals 21. So the missing values here can be calculated by multiplying 2 by 4, and the end result would be equal to 8. So the correct answer to this problem is choice A, 8. I also wanted to share with you one of the typical mistakes people make as part of answering these types of questions. People start looking at the columns themselves. But unfortunately, there's no pattern just by looking in the values in column 1, since pattern just doesn't exist. If you look only at the values in column 1, or only at the values in column 2, or only at the values in column 3, you will not be able to come up with the answer. You have to look across and take a global view across multiple columns to get to the correct solution. Can you do me a favor? If you have a better way of solving this challenge, please share your thought process in the comment section of this video. This is very interesting question which requires you to do calculations based on the pattern that you need to detect. You're presented with 2 squares. Small square is located inside the larger square. There are numbers in all corners of the larger square as well as in all corners in the smaller square. If we start looking at the numbers in the upper left corner and go clockwise, you see the numbers 15, 11, 32, and 23. In the smaller square, the numbers are 22, 13, and 5. And one number is missing. And this is the one that you need to calculate. Your choices are choice A, 1, choice B, 7, choice C, 12, choice D, 17. Give yourself 10 to 15 seconds, maybe 20 seconds. Possibly pause this video to see if you can come up with the answer. Do you see the pattern? Did you calculate the answer? Let's continue to see how we can get to the correct solution together. As you might have guessed, the pattern here is that the difference between numbers in diagonally opposite corners of the larger and smaller squares is 10. For example, let's look at the upper left corner. The difference between 15 and 5 is 10. If we look at the bottom right corner, the difference between 32 and 22 is 10. And the lower left corner, the difference between 23 and 13 is 10 as well. So to calculate the missing number, we need to calculate the difference between 11 and 10. And the difference is 1. So the correct answer here is choice A, 1. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems on the test. You're going to love this problem because it is so confusing. You're presented with multiple set of calculations. In our case, we have two full calculations, and one calculation is missing the final value. The first calculation is 22 multiplied by 22 equals 16. Second calculation is 33 multiplied by 33 equals 36. And then the last calculation is 44 multiplied by 44 equals question mark. And you need to calculate question mark. You have four different choices. Choice A, 52. Choice B, 56. Choice C, 60. And choice D, 64. Do you see the answer? It's not obvious, so give yourself 5 to 10 seconds, maybe 10 to 20 seconds, to see if you can come up with the solution. Ready or not, I'm going to reveal the answer, and we're going to get to the correct solution together. Typically, to solve these types of problems, you need to identify the pattern. And in this particular case, the pattern is that the sign and parentheses are hidden in between digits and are not presented on the screen. Let's look at the first two examples. 22 multiplied by 22 equals 16. It is not obvious because it doesn't go along with the rules of conventional math. But if you add parentheses and in parentheses add 2 plus 2, multiplied another set in parentheses 2 plus 2, you will be multiplying 4 by 4 and the result would be equal 16. Same thing with 3 by 3. If you add in parentheses 3 plus 3, multiply by another set in parentheses 3 plus 3, you will be multiplying 6 plus 6 and the result will be 36. So the correct answer here is the set in parentheses 4 plus 4 multiplied by another set in parentheses 4 plus 4, which would be multiplication of 8 by 8, and the end result of this would be 64. So the correct answer here is choice D, 64. Hopefully you've nailed this question and now know how to answer similar problems on the test. Thanks for watching. If you liked the content, please give us a like and consider subscribing. Thank you for your endorsement, support, and patronage. Please also check out additional resources in the description section of this video. I also encourage you to check resources page on our website, howtoanalyzedata.net. Please leave your feedback, corrections, or suggestions in the comment section of this video. And all the best on your journey. I'll see you in my next video.